California, they're scheming. Once again, while you slept the last 4 days, tens of thousands of mail-in ballots poured in and the election results flipped. Sound familiar? It's happening again. Thanks for joining us this morning. I'm Vanessa Broussard. Let's take a look. Here are the current results with 87% of the votes in, coming from Decision Desk. Karen Bass leads. She has already been confirmed to take one of the top 2 spots to head into November. But look below her. Nithya Raman has surged past Spencer Pratt because California wants us to believe that she received over 40% of the mail-in ballots. So now it's confirmed that she claims the second spot to head into November, and Spencer Pratt would be left out. But looking at just a week ago, Spencer was sitting up there with Karen Bass. But it's all changed. We're talking about a state where voter ID is not required. They go off an honor system, meaning that you tell us where you live and you can vote. No ID required. We know what they're doing, and it's not truthful. Also on election night, Republican Steve Hilton was winning in the race for governor. Now he's not. Math isn't mathin' in California. So the feds are on the ground there. An assistant U.S. attorney visited the Los Angeles Ballot Processing Center as multiple federal investigations into voter fraud, that is, has begun. So they are investigating at the national level. But California is now blocking a federal audit. The first assistant U.S. attorney says California is blocking a federal audit of its voter rolls. We wonder why. If they didn't have anything to hide, they wouldn't block it, right? He says California allows first-time voters to register using forms of ID that most Americans would find surprising. Here's a list. You can use gym membership cards. It's true. Employer ID cards, credit or debit cards, prescription drug labels, and insurance cards. Now remember, California, as you know, provides free health coverage to illegal aliens. So are they voting with insurance cards? Makes you wonder. And President Trump, in an interview this weekend, getting up and walking off when the reporter told him there's no evidence of election interference. Watch.
What they did to the lives of people, they destroyed people. They sent people to jail who did nothing wrong.
Right, just to be very clear, there's no evidence of what you're saying. But let me ask you about Todd Blanche.
Listen to me.
Let's talk
There's
about Todd
tremendous
Blanche.
evidence. There's nothing but evidence. The election was rigged. It was a dirty election.
Mr.
And it's
President,
happening again right now in California.
Presented evidence.
It's happening right now in California. Right now, it's look at what's happening in California.
To that?
It's
the
4
Republicans
days.
Are doing well in
California. No, they're not. They're dropping fast because it's a rigged election. Let me tell you, it's 4 days, and they aren't even close to coming up with it. You know why they're doing that? Because they're cheating on the election.
Do you have evidence to support
all
that?
I have to do is look. All I have to do is look.
That's not evidence.
And I listen to people, and let's see what happens.
But, sir, that's not evidence.
Do you think it's appropriate?
That's how they count the votes in California.
Do you think it's appropriate that they have an election, and 5 days later, they're nowhere close to picking a winner?
State and local officials acknowledge they are slow. They're urging.
No, they're crooked.
They're urging the votes to be counted quickly. That's how they vote in California.
They're crooked, just like you're crooked. Your press is crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked.
To be fair, I'm not crooked, but let's
Really?
Let's
Well,
continue.
you play right into their hands.
Let's continue.
You're either crooked or you're stupid. You play right into their hands with this rap. You know that these elections are rigged. Your network knows that they're rigged. You know that I won an election in a landslide, and I got 94% bad press.
But, Mr. President,
you know why I got that? Because you have no credibility.
But you've never presented evidence that it was rigged. Let's keep talking about. I want to talk about Todd Blanche.
You have more evidence. There's more evidence than ever presented.
Let's talk
your
about
elections in this country. We're like a third world country.
But, sir,
your elections are crooked, and you're crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked, and so is ABC and CBS and CNN.
But, Mr. President,
you're one-sided crooked networks. Right, let's call it quits because I've had enough. Thank you, darling. Have a good time.
Mr. President, let's please. I traveled all the way to Wisconsin.
I've sat in the rain with you.
I know.
I've sat in the rain with you for an hour, on and off in the rain, and I've given you enough time. You ought to straighten out your press because you know what?
Mr. President,
a country can never be great with a dishonest
Listen,
press.
we
Come on, let's
traveled
go.
all the way to Wisconsin for this interview.
She needs to travel to California and do some investigating. It's plain as day. Last night, the president, he wasn't done. He posted this. Has anybody been watching the crooked election going on in California? 2 great Republican candidates are being cheated, and so is America, which if the Democrats are able to fulfill their mission, great trouble will follow. Watch this election closely, he says. And we are. Roughly 3 million ballots are still being counted. 3 million. California's election, the drama there is far from over, and we're on top of it, watching closely. Again, the math just isn't making sense. It's not adding up. So we'll keep you updated this week as California drags their feet with their election month, not an election day, and the votes are falling from the sky out of nowhere. There's also growing controversy, as you see this morning in South Korea. Thousands of protesters there taking to the streets following election irregularities there. It's here, it's there. Election problems seem to be everywhere. Ballot shortages at the polling locations and voting disruptions. We've been following the fallout since last week's election day there in South Korea. Let's bring in Dr. Douglas Frank with exclusive information this morning, joining us live from Seoul, South Korea. Dr. Frank, good to have you on. It's been a busy weekend. I know more protests, thousands of people taking the streets. We talked to you on Friday. Any new information from over the weekend?
Yes, there's lots of things happening. You hear the chant that's going on. Let me first interpret that chant so that you will understand what's happening. And because I don't speak Korean very well, I brought 2 of my primary sources here in Korea. So you guys tell them what the chant is.
부정선거, 재선거, 당일 투표, 수개표.
Now interpret that for us. What are they saying?
The 부정선거 means the election fraud.
That means that there's election fraud. Good. And what next?
And 재선거 means the re-election.
You want to do the election over again. Okay.
당일 투표, 수개표 means the hand counting of the election day.
Okay, so they want hand counting and 1 day of elections.
Yep.
Is that all of it, or is there a little more?
Yes.
So think about it. They're chanting 4 things that we've been asking for in America. You know, single day elections, and they want to redo the election because of the fraud, the election fraud that's in it. And I don't know if you noticed, but in that large crowd, there are thousands of people down there. I mean, and I'm telling you, the crowds are not letting up. It's honestly, I was expecting work. You know, it's Monday. People are going back to work. I was expecting the clouds to wane. No, the crowds are growing. The crowds are just as strong as ever. It's exhilarating to be here. And what's particularly interesting about it is when we talked last, the movement was just really exploding at that time. And everybody was saying, we want to redo the election. We want to redo the election. But something happened. We began to be infiltrated by leftists who came in and said, look, let's not fly the American flag anymore. And let's not say that there was election fraud. Let's just say that they made a mistake and we need to do the election over again. And I didn't instigate this, but the crowd is wise to them. And they are flying more flags than ever. And they are saying, no, we know there's election fraud. It's fabulous. We're very excited. So that's the first big update. By the way, my friend is Soo-young and Usok. Okay, and they're young. They're in their 20s. They're awesome Korean men. They're on our team that we've been working here. So I asked them to be here. Tell me why do you think they didn't want us to fly the American flags?
Because they don't want the United States people to come in Korea. Like they do not want to admit the election fraud.
They don't want to admit election fraud, and they don't want the United States to come and help.
Yeah.
Okay, so they don't want the flags. They only want just Korean flags, right? Mm-hmm. What's happening down there at the Coliseum? I mean, are they doing anything, or are they only chanting?
Yes.
Just
Only 10.
only chanting because they've already finished the counting, right?
Mhm.
Yes, they've already finished the counting. There's some new information of Vanessa. This is brand new information. One of the things that kicked this off, I'm telling you, it's a gift from God. I'm telling you, we work so hard in America to prove there's fraud and to get the people involved. Here, the NEC, the National Election Commission, just totally botched this election, and they didn't deliver enough ballots to many of the provinces. Last week, remember, one of the lead of the NEC resigned. And at the time, they were admitting, oh, yeah, we had about 50 provinces that didn't have enough ballots. Well, actually, the number is now up to, what did we say? 91. 91 provinces are now coming forth and saying, we didn't get enough ballots. And there's an interesting correlation between the provinces that didn't get enough ballots. Think of them like counties in America. You could think of South Carolina as about this, South Korea as the size of Indiana. And you divide it up into counties. That's like dividing them up into provinces. And the more conservative provinces are the ones that were shorted on ballots. And we think that the reason they were shorted on ballots is two reasons. One, they deliberately under-delivered ballots. And second of all, they had a lot of communist infiltrators who voted because they don't screen the voters. They let everybody vote. Does that sound familiar? So
Sounds
anyway,
very
that's kind of
familiar.
related.
Yeah,
That's
and,
kind of the
we just
latest.
talked about that's going on in California. But Dr. Frank, I have to ask you this. We talk about what's going on in California. We can see that things aren't adding up. We know what's going on there in South Korea as well. You have tens of thousands of people out there right now at the Coliseum, right now as we speak, and
As we
it's
speak,
evening time there. Yes, they're there around the clock. And what's going to be done? The people here in America, they're in South Korea. We chant, we yell from the rooftops. We are just trying to get secure elections. President Trump is trying to do that here in America. We have the Save America Act sitting in the Senate, collecting dust. But in South Korea, is anything going to happen?
yes, they've filed several lawsuits, and our team is the leader of our team, former Prime Minister Hwang Kyo-an is leading that, and they've filed several lawsuits. And he used to be a head prosecutor, so he's very connected to the legal system. I just want to that's him. I want to make a point. Why don't we have 10,000 people down at the LA County counting station? Why? But the Koreans have this figured out. Where are the Americans? And so one of my messages, as I come back to America, is, hey guys, we have the exact same problems as they do in Korea, but where are you? How come you're not out there chanting too? Now,
well, because I think a lot of times, if you look at the history of it all, the Democrats are the ones who usually in America go out and protest and burn down buildings and destroy things.
Correct.
We always hope for peaceful protests. We have peaceful protests going on in South Korea, but here in America, Republicans aren't really known to be the protesters.
We have J6 to our credit. The people turned out on that day. So that would be analogous to what's happening right now here. The number of people, the massive crowds that have turned out. The other big issue to report on is Ambassador Morse Tan. I think we mentioned him, when he observed the election a year ago here for the president, he went back to America and brought that news to America. But at the same time, he also brought serious allegations about their illegitimate president. And when he came back into the country, he happened to arrive the same day I did here at the airport. We kept it under wraps. We didn't want anybody to know we were coming in because we were afraid we would get stopped at the airport. But once we were in, we're here. Now, wait a minute. This is Korea. This is freedom. This is American ally. You mean they would actually stop us at the airport? That tells you how severe the situation has got. But anyway, they passed a travel ban on him. So he's not allowed to leave the country. Now, his lawsuit's going to be on Wednesday, and that's been progressing. So we'll have to see. I think you want to get Trump mad, just go ahead and put him in jail, and because Trump personally appointed him during his first term. So that's a special situation developing there too. And I've delayed my return to America till Thursday because we're also holding a major press conference on Wednesday night, which I'll be speaking at. So that'll that'll be a big deal. So there's a lot happening here. I feel like I want to get home because it's my anniversary Thursday with my lovely bride.
Oh.
But it's hard to walk away from history in the making. It's happening right now. And I know how much time we have left, but I wanted to maybe give these guys a chance to say something. Is that okay? If we got like a minute? So, what do you? Why are the Koreans so desperate for America to help?
This is now the Korean now difficult to change for our own power.
They think it's too difficult for them to change with their own power, and I understand that because their president was elected illegitimately, and now their state assembly has been elected illegitimately. So they feel like there's no legal recourse, and we saved them in the Korean War, so now they feel like they need us to save them again. I mean, they're desperate. What do you think? Why are they calling out for Americans?
Because the American also attacked by the election fraud thing, and they win about the election, and also the Korean can help with the America too.
Yes, they need help. That's just why I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Lindell sent me here. Remember, he said, "Hey, there's a team there. They flew out to CPAC. The prime ministers did, and said, we need help. Please send help." And so Mike called me and said, "Would you please work with that team? I've been working with their election fraud team here. They're very well organized. They're like some of my best teams in the United States, even before I got here. So it's been really good to work with them. So they feel like they need our help, not just technologically, which is what we bring, but they also need political help because they've lost their government. It would be sort of like if Kamala was president right now and the majority in the Congress was Democrat. We conservatives would feel like we've lost our country, and that's what it.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's how it feels to them. I'm sorry. Only it's worse here because they're communists, and so we came to Korea back in the 1950s to drive the communists back across up to North Korea, and then we put in Camp Humphreys here to kind of put a stake in the ground. Well, they aren't taking over South Korea this time with bullets. The communists are taking over South Korea with ballots, and that's the situation we're in.
Amazing. And I know, Dr. Frank, they're happy to have you there. I've seen the video. You've been on every day, and we're going to continue to follow your journey there in South Korea as you keep delaying your departure. Hopefully you can get home on Thursday for your anniversary, but I know it's very important to you and very important for the people of South Korea for you to be there representing America and showing that we go together everywhere we go. We just want to make sure, not just here at home in America, but all over the world, we want just fair elections. That's all we ask for. So continue the great work. We'll stay updated with you, and we'll also continue to follow Ambassador Ton's legal battles come Wednesday as he fights to try to leave the country. He is barred from leaving the country, which is just astounding to hear. So thank you and your friends for coming on today, and continue to do a great job, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.
It's fun being a foreign correspondent. I've never done it before.
Well, now you have. You can add it to your resume. Thank you so much, Dr. Frank.
Good to see you. Thank you, Vanessa.
Arrested! You don't want to back. We've asked you to move back. You'll be arrested. You'll be arrested.
The protesters are still at it at Delaney Hall, the ICE detention facility in New Jersey. They're mad at ICE, they're mad at the facility, they're mad at the world, they're just mad. So they protest and scream and hoot and holler. They go face to face with the federal agents, taunting them and getting all their hatred out of their systems. So let's bring in Sheriff Richard Mack to discuss this ongoing situation in New Jersey. Sheriff Mack, always a pleasure to have you on the show. They are protesting. They say they're protesting poor conditions inside, but we have confirmed that the state has visited the facility and they found no violations. In fact, the detainees inside, they're getting fed pretty well. I saw a menu where they were being fed fajitas and dessert. Sounds good to me. What are your thoughts?
Well, look, I've been in lots of different federal facilities during my 20-year career in law enforcement. The biggest complaint usually about federal detention centers of any kind is that they're way too extravagant. They're really nice, and I've seen top security ones, and I've seen ones that have no security at all. And they all have very good menus for their meals. And these, how they feed inmates is extremely regulated, and it's watched over like crazy. Because that was like the biggest complaint, during the 1900s, especially the early and mid 1900s, is that they were making inmates starve, and that was taken care of. And that's like the number one thing. You can't even come close to building a jail without first having those regulations applied universally. It's crazy regulated, and so there's no way that that's happening. Now, look, if there's an inmate that's disobedient, yeah, they're put into solitary confinement or something similar, but they're still fed very well. And in that particular case, they only get an hour of rec outside their normal cell. So, I don't like any of that. I don't like prisons. They weren't made to be hotels, but some of them are.
You're absolutely right. In my days of reporting, I've been through several prison systems. One, in fact, death row, to interview an inmate. And these are nice. There's air conditioning. You mentioned rec. They have basketball courts and places for them to just go out and lounge. They have libraries where they can go read. Good food. I've seen vending machines for the inmates if they have money on their
And
commissary.
don't forget the commissary. They all have commissary. Yeah.
Absolutely, where they can get their day-to-day necessities. And so I have not been inside Delaney Hall, but I have been inside multiple prisons, and they all look the same to me. And, for a lot of these people, and Sheriff Mack, you've seen it firsthand, they don't come from good backgrounds. Some do, some don't. And so for the ones who don't, they're living a better life inside the prison than they were outside of the prison. They are being offered more, beds, rec, food, vending machines, libraries, like we just mentioned. I mean, this is a better life for some of these inmates than what they came from.
Exactly. And the biggest problem with what's going on in New Jersey is the governor of New Jersey. She's already admitted publicly. Now get this, that people that they've been arresting are not even from New Jersey. Oh, really? That's a new one. And so of course these protesters are being shipped in, bussed in. Who's paying for all of that? Why does she check into that? She doesn't do one damn thing about the protesters. She complains that the protesters are not even from New Jersey. Of course, look on the internet. And in fact, our new book actually points us out. All the corruption and that Welker lady interviewing President Trump. What an idiot she is. And like, we don't know that the Democrat Party has brought millions of illegals into our country and making sure that they get registered to vote, just as Dr. Frank pointed out. They get registered to vote. They don't have to have any identification. They don't have, just as you were pointing out also, they don't have to show any address. They just have to tell them where they live. So they give some hotel or some bogus address, and then there's no verification of that. And now what does California want to do? Avoid any audit, any independent audit of what they're doing right now to destroy the elections for anyone resembling a conservative or even resembling a Republican. And this is such cheating, and it's so obvious. And Welker lady, oh, she can't see it. Oh, there's never any evidence. Do what President Trump said. Take a look.
All you have to do is look. It's so plain as day. I mean, you just have to look, and it doesn't make sense. You're absolutely right. But, you talked about the governor of New Jersey. Let's talk about the city as well. They lifted the curfew. So a curfew was in place for a night or two. The federal agents were able to arrest these people who were there past curfew, and then they go and lift the curfew. So here comes all of these protesters yet again. Why did they lift the curfew? Because they want this. And yes, they're coming in from all over, not just New Jersey. Who's paying these people? We've seen video of cases of water being put out, food being put out at tables, just, hundreds of necessities for these people. Somebody is shipping this in. Somebody's shipping these people in. That's what they need to investigate.
That's exactly correct. And she even admitted that it's happening. And then what does she do? Nothing. And look, this is the great comparison right now. Look at the red states. Look at the Republican-run states, especially look at Florida, where sheriffs and local law enforcement are involved in any of these protests. They're watching them closely. And there's still protests in Florida. But there's none of this nonsense. And Sheriff Wayne Ivey in Brevard County has expressed the views of a lot of them. If you break the law, you're going to jail. If you assault an officer, you're going to be assaulted back. And so we have these mamsy-pamsy, idiotic blue states, these governors that we're seeing, and mayors that we're seeing, and chiefs of police, and some sheriffs that refuse to get involved and do the opposite. They tell them, take a gun with you to some of these protests. Since when did a Democrat ever encourage anyone to have a gun? When it's aimed at ICE agents. That's what. And this lawlessness is exactly what we're talking about in our new book, The Democrat Murder of America.
We're going to talk about that too here in just a little bit. The Democrat Murder of America. You're seeing that on your screen. But speaking of Democrat-run cities and states, I love this one. I do, but I don't. I just want to talk to you about this one because I can't wait to see your reaction. It's summertime. The kids are out of school. Some parents have their kids in library reading programs, summer camps, but some parents let their kids run wild. So we're seeing in Democrat-run cities what's called teen takeover. And it's a bunch of hooligans running around, starting fights, gangs. Look at here. Police are arresting people. We've seen stabbings. We've seen shootings. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe there's even been a fatality or two. It's just chaos in the streets. It's called teen takeovers. What's your thoughts?
This is an absolute outrage. And I was school resource officer before I became sheriff. And I worked in the schools, 11 different schools that I was in charge of. And the bottom line result of what I came up with is that there's no substitute for good parenting. And what you're seeing here is lazy parenting. Parents who don't even know where their kids are, who don't even know what they're doing. And this is going to continue until we have the nuclear family restored. The opposite of what BLM, Black Lives Matter, had on their website, that they opposed the nuclear family. And you're seeing the results of BLM and other organizations, Antifa and others, that don't demand that parents and families are strong enough to take care of these types of situations. This is an absolute outrage. It's pathetic. It's sad. It's a disgrace to America. And it simply needs a parent, a father in the home, and parenting that absolutely will not allow this to continue in our country.
You're right. And I can't fathom that a parent doesn't know where their children are, because I'll tell you, I have my nieces and nephews, even on Find My Friends, and I track them daily and nightly and making sure everyone's where they're supposed to be, even before I go to bed at night. Sheriff, I check in on my nieces and nephews and making sure everyone's home safe and sound, and that way I can sleep in peace. So to be a parent and not knowing where your kids are, or knowing that they're taking part in these teen takeovers, is just very disturbing. But that's what's going on in blue cities, and that's why you wrote a book. Let's talk about your book.
Well, this was a result of Daniel Perkins and me getting together. We didn't know each other. 9 months ago, we didn't even know each other, but we were on a podcast together. And he asked me if I wrote any books, and I said, yeah, I've written about 8. He put me on Zoom meeting with him right then and there. He said, show me your books. And I showed him about 5 or 6 of them. And he says, I want to write a book with you. And when he told me what the purpose of the book would be, to let everyone know in this midterm what the Democrats are really doing to destroy our country, to murder, that we need to be real blunt here. The Democrat Party will lie. Democrat Party will lie, cheat, steal, manipulate, and murder. And we document in the book where the Democrats have murdered. We already see how they support violence. This was obvious in New Jersey. This is obvious in Minneapolis. This is obvious in Los Angeles, obvious in New York. And every one of them have supported this violence. And then to get along with their party, they have to go along with it, even if they disagree with it. And this violence and the attacks and the murder. Have you ever heard of one of the people that were murdered in this country by an illegal alien? Have you ever heard one Democrat decry and condemn any of that? No, it doesn't happen. They have to support what their party platform is. And we're going against this. We want everyone to take a strong look at that cover. Look at the cover of the book. It tells you what's going on in America. The dumb jackass pretending to have patriotic hat on is stabbing the Statue of Liberty in the back. The Democrat murder of America, demagoguery in the first degree. Folks, this party is not just destroying our country, they're murdering our country. They're murdering the American dream. They're murdering female sports. And this is one quote from the book that really tells the tale of the book. And folks, you need to try to get one of these books for you and one for your favorite Democrat, because we believe that there are actually good Democrats. They've just been hoodwinked, brainwashed, and manipulated. And when you have the Democrat Party and the national press doing that together, of course they've been successful. But this is the quote I like the most from the book. The only great achievement that the Democrat Party has accomplished is a new level of degeneracy. And that's your Democrat Party, folks. I have already reached out to Democrats who I know. And I'm just begging them to read the book. And so folks, when you start with your Democrat friends, tell them to read the last chapter first so that they can see that we're pushing a peaceful and effective solution. And you need to read that first. It's called the epilogue, the ending of the book, bringing everything together, and then go back and read the rest. It's an extremely valuable, powerful book, and it's available right now at murderofamerica.com. Murderofamerica.com, one word. And get this book out there, folks. It is absolutely of absolute necessity. It's essential that we be successful this year, especially that it's a midterm. And folks, this book is aimed at helping turn the tide on the midterms.
You're absolutely right. And I'm glad you brought that up. Not all Democrats are bad. A lot of Democrats are holding on to their grandfather's Democrat Party, and this is not the same Democrat Party from several decades ago. Sheriff Matt, good to have you on the show today. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Everyone go pick up a copy of his book. Can't wait to read it. Sheriff Matt, have a good day. Thanks for being here.
See you soon, Vanessa. Thanks so much.
And when we come back, the latest in the case of John Brennan, former head of the CIA, an expert weighs in on corruption within the CIA. That's next.
It's finally here, our second annual mega sale. This sale only comes around once a year, so take advantage of the best offers ever while you can. For example, save 50% on our Giza Dream bed sheets as low as $29.98. And for the first time ever on TV, My Pillow mattresses and My Pillow mattress toppers as low as $99.98. And you save 50% on our Lux Pure 6-piece towel sets. Regular $69.98, now only $39.98. And our best-selling standard My Pillows, regular $49.98, on sale for $17.98. Wait on it, mega sale, only $14.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. But wait, there's more. To make the mega sale even more special, when you order right now, your order's going to ship absolutely free.
We're back with the latest developments involving John Brennan and an ongoing Justice Department and FBI investigation into his role into the Russia collusion hoax. Today we have Ian Trottier with us, who has been studying John Brennan for many years now. Ian, good to have you here with us. Thanks for joining us. No charges have been filed against Brennan, but did he weaponize America's intelligence for personal profit? What's your take?
Oh, there's absolutely no doubt that this individual weaponized the heights of national security to enrich himself and to benefit what looks like the strings to the deep state, Vanessa. And the reason I say that is because all the roads are leading to Cambridge University in regards to the Russian collusion hoax. The forward is by Roger Stone to High Stakes Treason. As you mentioned, this book right here. And what we're looking at here is an individual under the Obama administration that manipulated the very heights of critical national intelligence, Vanessa, so that he could enrich himself financially. What we show in High Stakes Treason, there is research presented to me by a former FBI agent that spent over a decade in the DC field office. What we show is that 3 critical terror events were sequestered, or rather information was withheld from other sources at CIA, at FBI, during the time of 2009 to 2013 that could have prevented, for example, one of the terror events that I mentioned is the Boston Marathon bombing. This is explosive. This is what Roger Stone calls of the most important and shocking books that he's read in his 50 years in politics, and to the tune, Mr. Brennan enriched himself just on this one particular stock called the Analysis Corporation, to the tune of just shy of $5 million. He allowed that enrichment, that profiting, so that Americans could be in danger, that Americans would be maimed. We saw that in the Boston Marathon bombing, and that American lives would be lost.
So in your book, you talk about financial fraud, illegal stock ownership. You talked about the Boston Marathon bombing, the failures there. Let's talk about the White House visitor logs. Allegedly, they too were altered or falsified. That's mentioned in your book. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's an likely unwitting individual that was used at the NSA. And let me mention a guy named Thomas Speciale. What we talk about in the book, what I talk about is a man named Michael Jones. That was used as basically a proxy in the sense of staging meetings, cover-up meetings, that sort of thing, to hide certain connections, certain face-to-face meetings. These are the White House visitor logs that we have, that we show that Michael Jones took place of, supposedly in the place of John Brennan. But more importantly here is a 2016. If we fast forward a little bit so that folks can make more sense of this. 2016, December 9th, there was a meeting, and I have a FOIA out, Vanessa, to the Joint Chiefs of Staff, which would have had and do have a recording, audio and video of this specific meeting at the White House in the Oval Office, where John Brennan likely coordinated the effort with Susan Rice, Clapper, and Obama, and likely a few others on this video and this audio. And I've not received a response for my request. We have the complete collusion, which would be the making of the Russian collusion. So what the information in the book, High Stakes Treason, shows is personal motive for John Brennan to orchestrate this massive cover-up and fraud, an attempt to try and keep a duly elected president, and that would be Donald Trump, a complete political outsider to DC. They tried to keep him, John Brennan, the ringleader, the man that orchestrated this for the Clintons, being paid by the Clintons. We know that from Tulsi Gabbard, to try to prevent him from getting into office. And there's something critical here that I'm working on in regards to a second edition of this book. But it's critical people understand and read the first edition. But there's something called Hamilton's 68 dashboard that was created by individuals in the high-tech industry, again, orchestrated by this John Brennan, the man that Obama put in as his director of the CIA. This orchestration using the Hamilton 68 dashboard created Russian bots online, Twitter, Facebook. That was the facade of a Russian collusion, whereas supposedly the Russians stepping in to aid Trump in becoming elected. This is fabrication. And as I opened my segment with you, Vanessa, these roads lead back to Stephen Halper and Gina Haspel in London and Cambridge University. Cambridge has a program on surveillance that is directly tied to Christopher Steele. And this is what we know with John Brennan bringing in Christopher Steele in this situation, the scenario, to create the the Steele dossier. And two people to mention here in regards to the Steele dossier, Vanessa, of course, would be General Mike Flynn and a woman named Svetlana Lakova, who is very active in speaking out against John Brennan. I actually approached Mike Flynn to see if he would introduce me to this Svetlana Lakova individual, who was a student at the time during this Russian collusion hoax at Cambridge University. This is important because supposedly we're told that Flynn and Lakova had inappropriate relations. Well, in regards to that inappropriate relations, that's also fabricated. And General Flynn didn't even know how to get in contact with this woman when I first approached him. He had to wait 2 weeks because he had to go ask a source to get a connection to this person. So that's completely fabricated as well. There's so much smearing and cover up. It's absolutely disgusting, Vanessa. But what I have in High Stakes Treason are all the receipts, 420 pages of research that I present to the American people, me and my FBI source, former agent of the FBI, that is, and I have over 100 pages of an appendix. Post Hill Press, their imprint, Bombardier Books, has printed this book for us, and I thank them because at one point in time, Vanessa, when I got to the legal vetting after the edits and the typesetting, the lawyer advised that this not be published, but I went back to the publisher, the CEO, and he said, "No, we're pushing this through. This is going to get published." So this is nothing less of a miracle, really, that the American people have this in regards to Post Hill Press. They can order it right now on Amazon if they want.
All right. I hope everyone goes and gets a copy of your book because you have some great information there. As we start to wrap up here, Ian, I have to ask, why do you believe charges haven't been filed yet?
Yeah, and I mentioned this on Ike Wingate, that's Newsmax 2, about a week and a half ago. I mentioned to Ike, what we have here are clear gatekeepers, Vanessa, in D.C. This is just how convoluted and dirty and deep the swamp goes. I mean, we have 3 attempts on the president's life. They clearly continue to try to remove him from his power. But let me refer to a quote, Vanessa, from John Brennan himself, and this is about 2.5 weeks old, where he spoke to Nicole Wallace, I believe it was, on MSNBC. He continues, by the way, Vanessa, resetting the statutes of limitations. He continues to reject involvement in the Russian collusion hoax. Of course, it's my effort to try to expose the fraud that I found in the book, that's exposed in the book. But in regards to his quote with MSNBC stating that there is a legion of intelligence professionals in D.C. actively working to undermine efforts of the Trump administration. That's a paraphrase, but that is more or less a fairly direct quote of what John Brennan himself told the American people through MSNBC about 2 weeks ago. There is a legion of intelligence professionals working to undermine the Trump administration. That means gatekeepers. That means he has a legion. To me sounds like 100. I don't know what the definition is, but and I don't know what he's talking about. But that would mean that there's at least 100 or hundreds of intelligence people that are essentially under this man's umbrella, working to undermine the efforts of the Trump administration. That would be keeping information like this in this book hidden and out of view. And by the way, Patrick Byrne, a very important person in all of this, Vanessa, because Patrick Byrne, a former Overstock CEO and founder of Overstock, a CIA asset himself, going back to 2006, Patrick Byrne has stated within the last 6 months on Alex Jones, I believe it was, that John Brennan is still running the CIA and that John Ratcliffe is, quote, a performing flea. So all of these intelligence professionals, as John Brennan has stated, this legion of intelligence professionals, they're all working underneath, supposedly, John Brennan. This is, and if we go into the election fraud, John Brennan, again, according to Patrick Byrne, created a data center in Belgrade, Serbia, that influenced and flipped the Dominion servers, changing the results of the 2020 election. This is John Brennan. This man is in hot water. And with those subpoenas in South Florida, I'm trying to get to 2 key people. Hopefully today I have a phone call with Joseph DeGenova, and the other person is Jason Quinones. So as this develops, these subpoenas develop, my information will be certainly sitting in the background to reinforce all of this malfeasance from the effort on the effort of the former director of the CIA, who, according to Patrick Byrne, is still running the CIA.
The swamp runs deep, as you just mentioned. High stakes treason. Everything that you've found in your investigation, all the people you've interviewed and talked to, available now on Amazon. I encourage everyone to go give it a read, and we'll continue to follow up on this as things develop in this case. And the American people are done with the election interference, Russia hoax, and everything else that you said, all the people behind trying to undermine the Trump administration. Thanks for your hard work on this. Everyone go pick up your copy today. High stakes treason. Ian, good to have you on the show today. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, Vanessa.
And when we come back, more news headlines. Stay with us.
Welcome to Vocal, the free speech social app that gives you a platform to amplify your voice, speak freely, connect boldly, and be part of a growing movement for truth, faith, and freedom. Want to know what's happening right now? The Now Playing feature shows you exactly who's live and what's streaming in real time. Check out the show's feed, a non-stop lineup including LINDELLTV News 24/7, shows and on-demand programming all in one place. Connect with your favorite host and never miss a show. Explore the featured page for quick access to LINDELLTV's top shows. Follow your favorites and watch their newest content flow right into your feed. And when they go live on Vocal, you can join the live chat and be part of the action. Ask questions, share your thoughts, even help shape future shows. Stay informed on issues around securing our elections by following your state's Cause of America account. Join a group and connect on a deeper level, from faith and freedom to the future of our nation. Go to vocal.com or download the app today and be a part of the mission to save our country.
When you read one news source, you get one side. When you read 2 sources, you get an argument. Read 40 sources, and you get the truth. LindellReport.com, the only place you ever need to visit for your news. From LindellTV, over 40 trusted outlets in one place. No editorial gatekeepers, no hidden bias. Just the day's news. Balanced, unfiltered, ready when you are. Whether you lean left, right, or straight down the middle, this is where you start your day. One click, one feed, one truth. The decision is yours. LINDELLReport.com. The news you need, the balance you deserve.
Let's see how the markets are opening today on this Monday. A live look from MarketWatch.com. The Dow, the S&P 500, the NASDAQ all soaring at this hour. That's good news after Friday had a sharp sell-off in technology. The main drivers right now, Friday's steep tech-led sell-off, which saw the NASDAQ suffer its largest single-day point drop on record. Friday was brutal. Rising treasury yields following a stronger than expected jobs report. We're also watching escalating tensions between Iran and Israel pushing oil prices higher. Wall Street is bracing for a turbulent day today, but so far so good as we look at opening bell numbers. In your news to go, a quick glimpse of other news headlines we're following today. A second case of the flesh-eating New World screwworm has now been confirmed in South Texas. The latest case was found in a 1-month-old calf in Zavala County, just a few miles from the first confirmed case. State and federal agencies have deployed sterile flies, increasing surveillance, and they're restricting animal movement in an effort to contain that outbreak. There is no threat to the food supply right now. In sports, it's a big day in New York City as the Knicks take on the San Antonio Spurs in the NBA Finals. President Trump is attending tonight's game, and here are his thoughts on the Knicks players.
Who's your favorite Knick? Well, Brunson's fantastic. Towns is fantastic. They just have a great team.
They're just a great team, he says. Now, before the game, he held an executive meeting at 8 o'clock this morning. At 5:30 this afternoon, he will hold a tele-rally. And then at 8:30 Eastern tonight, he will attend the NBA Finals game. So make sure you're tuned in for that. A lot of people are going to be watching as the Knicks are on a winning streak. So we'll see what happens. Right now, the president is in Bedminster. And for all your top news headlines today, you can log on to LINDELLTV.com. You can also download the Lindell TV app. It is free in your app store. Now to our Bible verse of the day coming from the book of Galatians. The Bible says this: "But the fruit of Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such things, there is no law." So a lot of words there to live by today. And of course, the greatest one of all is love. And that'll do it for us here this morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you all same time, same place tomorrow. And we leave you today with sights from Illinois.
cheap when it comes to saving our country. We're not just any cell phone service provider. We're Patriot Mobile. It's not enough to simply talk about values. We live them. Defending life, protecting our First and Second Amendments, and celebrating our military and first responder heroes. We're boots on the ground making a difference. We're America's only Christian conservative wireless provider with nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks and 100% US-based customer service. Join Patriot Mobile today and make an impact every time you use your cell phone.
America's founders warned that without knowledge and virtue, no nation can remain free. Yet through the steady infiltration of Marxist ideology, we have been stripped of both, and we are no longer a moral and educated people. To save America, we must spark nothing less than a national renaissance. That's why you need Freedom Talk Magazine, the journal of truth and virtue. We cultivate enlightened thinking and principled living, offering unique insights into the issues and remarkable people defining our world. Sign up today for your free subscription to Freedom Talk Magazine and join the new American Renaissance.
Well, hello, everyone. Well, I'm turning 65, and let me tell you, Medicare has me confused. All the junk mail and the robocalls and everything else, it honestly feels like they rigged the system just to confuse us. Well, that's why I partnered and working with Chapter. They're independent, and they don't work for big insurance. They work for us. In fact, they're the only advisor that compares every single plan nationwide to find what actually fits your needs. If you're on the right plan, they tell you. If you're not, they're going to help you switch. And it's completely free. Just last year, seniors saved about $1,100 by finding a better plan with Chapter. So call Chapter at 234-LINDELL or go to askchapter.org/Lindell. You know, most people think water's just about filtration, but in reality, it's about balance. What gets removed, what gets left behind, and how the water actually behaves once you drink it. Well, many traditional systems focus on one thing, removal. Reverse osmosis, for example, strips water down completely. It may sound ideal, but it removes minerals that our bodies need. The Century Wellness System was designed with a different philosophy. It removes common contaminants like chlorine, fluoride, and PFAS while restoring key minerals like magnesium and improving alkalinity. It also does all this without tanks and without wastewater and without requiring a complicated installation. It installs in about 15 minutes under your sink, so instead of overcorrecting, it brings your water back into balance. Please visit CenturyH2O.com and use promo code Lindell for 10% off your next purchase. Mike Lindell here. The radical left and the deep state aren't just coming for our freedoms, they're coming after our money too. For years, they've been destroying our economy from the inside out with reckless spending, open borders, woke policies that crush our businesses. And now they've left us with an inflation disaster that's wiping out the savings of our hardworking families. They don't want us to be independent. They want us to be dependent on the government. Well, that's not going to happen on my watch. That's why I partner with American Independence Gold. It's a veteran-owned company that's helping patriotic Americans fight back by protecting our savings with real physical gold and silver. And right now, they're giving away up to $15,000 in free silver and a free gold IRA kit. A portion of all the profits go to 9/11 first responders and veterans at the Tunnels to Towers Foundation. The deep state can't touch your gold, so visit MikeLindellGold.com or call 844-714-4653 right now. That's MikeLindellGold.com. Take back control.